but we also bring a lot of power in from California, especially during the day, because they have so much solar in California that it destabilizes their grid during the daytime. So we have what they call negative pricing, right? So they have to offload all that power or it crashes their grid. So they're sending it to Oregon and Nevada, and they're sending it to Arizona, and they're paying us to take their power. And so that's good news for our consumers because it helps keep our costs down. And so
I don't think a lot of Californians know that's happening.
I don't think a lot of Californians know that's happening. And if they did, they would probably be upset, right? But
Hi, I'm Kenny Klaus, and this is State 48 Homeowners.
Hey, my friend, welcome back to the State 48 Homeowner Podcast. And today we're going to talk about what Arizona homeowners need to know about their utilities. And today we've got the Arizona State Corporation Commissioner Kevin Thompson. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing good, Scott. Thank you for inviting me back out.
So, Commissioner, it's a great title, but I think a lot of people want to know, what does Arizona State Corporation Commissioner do?
Yeah, it's one of those little-known offices that is a pretty powerful office. So we, about 98% of what we do is regulate the non-municipal utilities across Arizona. So your APS, your Tucson Electric Power, Unisource Energy, Southwest Gas, a few propane companies up north as well, about 320 or so, 330 private water companies like EBCOR, American, Liberty, Global. So that's about 98% of what we do is regulate them. And then we also help you if you are an entrepreneur and you want to start your own company, you want to start an LLC. You come down to the commission, we help you file your paperwork. And
I've done a few of those.
Yeah, a lot of people do those. So we probably do somewhere around 3,000 of those a month in Arizona. And then we also have pipeline and railroad safety. So if there's a gas line explosion, our folks go out and they'll investigate that along with the feds, as well as if a car and a train trade paint, we'll go out and investigate as well. We do a lot of railroad crossings at grade crossings and so forth. Then we also do securities, investigation, and fraud. So we used to always joke if Bernie Madoff were to come to Arizona, we would have been prosecuting him.
So it's like they took a whole bunch of departments and said, you know what, let's just throw all of them into a blender.
It was almost like they didn't know exactly where to put stuff, so they just threw it at us and said, here you go. Because originally we were, the Corporation Commission was constitutionally founded to protect the citizens of Arizona from the railroad monopolies back in the 1800s.
Wow.
And so statehood. And so when we became a state in the early 1900s, is the governor and the legislature stood up the Corporation Commission under the Constitution to protect the individuals, the citizens of Arizona from the railroad monopolies. And over time, that has, again, it's become the holding bin, I guess, for everything that nobody else wants to do. So there you go.
So power's kind of important for Arizona, especially in the summer.
Very. And
we're pretty well known in Arizona for having a pretty reliable power grid.
We are.
So how does that come to be? How is that maintained? How is that done?
I have to give kudos to our utilities because they do a tremendous job of keeping the lights on, especially when it's 120 degrees outside for, 3 or 4 consecutive days in a row. People don't realize the stress that it puts on the system, and that's one of the things that really keeps me up at night is worrying about the future of our power grid. Mm-hmm. We've put an over-reliance on renewables over the past, and those aren't really dispatchable resources, really like a natural gas or a coal plant, right? We're moving more and more towards renewables, but we also have to continue to have that dispatchable power that you can use when the sun's not shining and when the wind's not blowing. And, our utilities have done a phenomenal job of bringing online the right mix of resources that keep the lights on. And then we also buy off the market as well. They buy and trade power with California and with Nevada and with New Mexico and other states around us. So they do a really good job of keeping the lights on.
And a lot of people know that we've got that big nuclear plant, but we share that.
We do. We share that. So there's it's not just APS. All the utilities have a piece of it. Even Southern Edison, Pacific Gas and Electric, the Los Angeles Power and Water. So everybody has a little percentage of it, but the good majority of it is APS and SRP and TEP.
So where does all of our power come from?
A multitude of places. So we have a little bit of hydro. It's typically around 5% hydro, but with our drought that's going on, that's reducing more and more as we go. We have about 1% wind. We have about 10% solar. The big majority, about 46%, is coming from natural gas, and then we also have, as you mentioned, Palo Verde, which makes up another 27%. And right now, coal is running around 10% of our grid. But we also bring a lot of power in from California, especially during the day, because they have so much solar in California that it destabilizes their grid during the daytime. So we have what they call negative pricing, right? So they have to offload all that power, or it crashes their grid. So they're sending it to Oregon and Nevada, and they're sending it to Arizona, and they're paying us to take their power. And so that's good news for our consumers because it helps keep our costs down. And so
I don't think a lot of Californians know that's happening.
I don't think a lot of Californians know that's happening. And if they did, they would probably be upset, right? But yeah, it's just so much power that it allows us to ramp down our assets and really use that, get paid to take the power from California. So
with Colorado River stuff going on, and Hoover Dam is obviously a source of power. Is that impacting the Hoover Dam?
It hasn't yet, but I think hydro is one of those things that they're looking at and saying, is it going to be feasible to continue, using hydro into the future? With the drought the way it is, a lot of the cities, a lot of municipalities here in the valley that use CAP water have done tremendous efforts to conserve and put more water behind Hoover Dam. That's really helped. California finally stepped up, and they're taking some cuts in their usage, so that's allowing more water to stay behind the dam because a good majority of that electricity flows to California. Mm-hmm. And so they want to make sure that they don't reach that dead pool level to where you can't generate power. And so I know a lot of people, a lot of states are working to make sure that Lake Mead stays full enough to continue to provide power. So, but you never know what the future brings when it comes to hydro.
Yeah, it's interesting how when you go out there and Havasu tends to always stay at level to make sure that Parker Dam is providing power, right. But some of the other lakes can't stay at level.
Right. Even Lake Powell is the same way. Yeah. So they have generation that comes off of that. So we've got to make sure that they can continue to provide power as well.
This episode is brought to you by Klaus Team Real Estate Solutions, powered by Real Broker. At the Klaus Team, we're focused on making sure our clients have the most solutions, the solid representation and risk mitigation they deserve, and an incredible experience from day one. For us, it's about 2-1-2. At 211 degrees, water's hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. Boiling water produces steam, and steam can power a locomotive. It's that one extra degree that makes all the difference. At the Klaus Team, we go the extra degree to make your real estate journey exceptional before, during, and after your purchase or sale. For us, it's not just about a transaction. From buying your dream home to purchasing wealth through investments, our 212 experience ensures outstanding service every step of the way. But don't just take our word for it. Check out our client reviews on Google or at klausteam.com/reviews. We're Klaus Team Real Estate Solutions, your real estate partner for life.
So what are the long-term plans for Palo Verde?
I think Palo Verde is going to be safe. They're at least good out to the 2040 time frame. It's an older plant, but it's well maintained. APS does a tremendous job of maintaining that. They take the each one of the units, they'll take one down every year, and they'll do all their maintenance and do everything that they need to do, and then bring it right back up. And So they do a really great
Which they
job.
can do because it is so massive. It is the
so massive.
largest power plant.
It's the second largest now.
Is it?
Georgia just built one, and so
Yeah.
but so they're the largest. But yeah, we're second largest.
So now we just need to add on to it.
Right. Yeah, it's I've had the opportunity to tour that facility last year, and it's miraculous. I mean, it's a city inside of a city. It is
Now, is it the
massive.
only nuclear power plant in the world that's not next to a body of water?
I'm not sure, but I would say a good probability that that's the case. Yes.
Yeah, it's an amazing feat of engineering.
It is. It is. Well, and as more and more growth develops, especially out towards Buckeye, it's really impacting that water supply out to Palo Verde. So something to keep an eye on.
So let's talk about the Corporation Commission. How do you guys keep the utilities in line, and how do you protect consumers?
Really, it's a going through and looking at when they come in for a rate case. We scrutinize it. It takes a long time to go through a rate case. You have all the folks that want to intervene. They'll come in and they'll intervene in that rate case. They get to question the CEO. They get to question the president of the company. Attorneys come in and everybody gets questioned. Then we get our stab at it when it comes to the commission for approval. And so we're able to go through and look at the rate cases and decide, areas that we want to eliminate, things that we want to get rid of. For example, we had the APS rate case came in last year or earlier this year. No, it was last year. And we cut a lot out of that one. I mean, they were coming in asking for the sky. Our judges put out their recommended order, which really cut deep into their budget. And then we took it and we cut a little deeper. Like, for example, I eliminated marketing because I'm looking at APS saying, you have an assigned service territory. Why do you need to advertise APS within that service territory? Because you don't have, consumers don't have a choice.
You know what? That's not something that most consumers don't question as well. When we go to the Diamondbacks game, or when we see this massive ad for APS,
Right.
and wondering why
Right.
why people are paying for it.
Right. So I did an amendment to cut all that. So we eliminated a lot of their marketing. We really go through line by line and look at what is in the rates and what can we do as commissioners to make sure, we want the utilities to be able to be solvent, right? You don't want a utility that can't pay their own bills, or a utility that can't invest in its own infrastructure. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the consumers aren't on the hook for things like board of director fees. Board of directors do nothing on behalf of the consumers. They do everything on behalf of the company. So consumers shouldn't be paying the board of director fees. And so we cut all that stuff out. So if it doesn't have a direct impact on the consumers, we try to eliminate it.
So I know that people have some issues with the way that their cities and towns work. I know that Gilbert is pretty well known right now because they've just doubled their utility rates, and they've let all their citizens know that next year it's going to double again. What do those folks do? They have any recourse with the Corporation Commissioners, or just replacing their council members?
It really is. I always say local is local, right?
Yeah.
And so if you have a municipal utility, then that's something you'll have to talk to your elected officials about at the town or city level. For us, when we have rate cases, you have opportunities to come in and talk to us. You can file notices to the docket, or you can file your opposition or support to the docket. We read every item that comes in through the docket on a rate case. We look at what the consumers are saying. We look at what chambers of commerce are saying. We want to make sure we have a thriving economy. But for the most part, if you're local, it's local.
And so which organizations are you? So most of the power companies, and which water companies?
Oh gosh, there's anything from small mom and pops, that only serve like 5 people, all the way up to global, EPCOR, Liberty, American. It runs the gamut. So it literally can be anything like the foothills area that was on the news last year and the year before. It could be something as small as that all the way up to what we call a Class A utility, which is like an EPCOR.
Are there any initiatives that you guys are working on in the years to come?
Really, one of the things that we're really taking a look at right now is our REST rules. It's the REST stands for Renewable Energy Standards and Tariffs.
Okay.
And so a lot of those were implemented, back in 2006, 2010 timeframe by the commission then. It was really trying to give a little jump start to the renewable effort. And but they set a sunset on that for 2022, and here it is in 2024, and we still had those rules in place, and the utilities were still trying to comply with outdated mandates. And so we said maybe it's time to clean up some of our rules, and so we asked to go back and look at those and see if they're still needed or if we can eliminate those. And so we think a lot of those old rules can be eliminated. I think our utilities have gotten the message that people want to see more renewables. But again, this commission at least is really in all of the above. We understand that we need renewables with batteries. We need wind with batteries. We need natural gas peakers because we need that dispatchable power when the wind's not blowing and the sun's not shining. And so as technology gets better and technology evolves, we'll see more and more rules that we're starting to look at to see if they are even needed to be updated, or should we eliminate them altogether. So that's kind of really what's on our radar going forward.
And so looking forward, we've got a pretty solid power system. We've got, as we look forward, we're questionable on water.
I would say all the above, right? So, every year we do a summer preparedness. Last year was my first one when I came in, and there were some things on there that honestly scared me. And, we have a generation cliff coming, and it's because we have invested so heavily in renewables in Arizona, and we've gotten away from more of your natural gas dispatchable energy. And so there's a gap that's coming as we close some of our old coal plants, especially up north, Springerville and Navajo and so forth. So as we see these coal plants coming offline, right now you don't have any new generation coming online to replace the gigawatts or megawatts that we're losing. And so there's a gap that's going to start in about 2025 or so, 2026. It's small. But again, as you start closing more and more of these coal plants, if you're not bringing new generation online, it's creating a bigger gap. And so it still keeps me awake at night because I want to make sure that our grid is reliable. That's something in Arizona that, we can't afford to have a grid that goes down during the summer. People die. And so it's just extreme heat here that we have. And so we need to do all that we can to ensure that the utilities can do their jobs.
And then looking at the other side of the coin, looking at winter, what does our supply look like? You come from the natural gas background.
So
17 years in natural gas?
17 years in natural gas.
What does our supply look like for natural gas?
It's looking good. Obviously, if we want to do more generation, we have to have more natural gas. And so so we're hopeful that Kinder Morgan and some of the others will start looking seriously at Arizona as a place that they need to invest and bring another line in or upsize the lines that they have, bring additional gas into Arizona. But the supply right now is really, really good. We saw some spikes in price. A lot of that was due to the war in Ukraine, and Russia shut off supply into Germany and France, and so we were sending a lot of our domestic gas over to France and Germany to keep the lights on there. And so now you see Germany going back to Russia and asking for gas. So, that may have cause a decrease in our cost, but it's good for America. It's good for Arizonans. And so we'll see what the future brings. But it's you're only one bad day away from destabilizing everything, right?
So if people have issues, they want to reach out to the Corporation Commission, how do they get a hold of you guys?
You can go on our website. It has every commission office there. We also have our consumer advocate group, so you can reach out to them as well. But yeah, if you have questions specific, feel free to shoot me an email or call my office. My email is ktompson@azcc.gov. So always available.
All right. Thank you, Commish.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for spending time with us this week at State 48 Homeowner, the ins and outs of owning an Arizona home. You can connect with us for more information, submit topics you'd like us to further discuss. You can see relevant videos, give us feedback, answer your real estate questions, and more at state48homeowner.com.